And the captain said, I said, well, we need to take the boat out and try to run because we had one engine running. He said, I'm not gonna pilot that boat anywhere. So I said, okay, you're fired. Go check into the hotel. Now, one of the men that came along was the Captain Rowland. He was a first mate, but he had had a heart attack. And if you've had a heart attack as a captain, you can no longer be captain. We be down below, except in an emergency. I said, well, this is the emergency. So Captain Rowland, you are now the captain of the ship. And I told the captain to go ashore, get off the boat, he's fired. So we decided to take the ship out and cruise up and down the coast of Barbados to show that we could get out of there. People had, and the newspaper had said that we would never leave Barbados. And everybody but us believed, everybody but I guess, believed it. And I said, no, I'm going to show them. So we decided to take her out to sea. Well, we're tied up at a dock, headed upstream in the harbor, because the harbor is at mouth of the river. And we had to turn the boat around and to go out. So we tied the stern to the dock, and then the captain made me pilot. I'm the owner of the boat. He says, you're going to steer the boat. So he gave orders while I did. Well, he told them to keep the stern of the boat tied to the dock, and then we put the power to it to bring the bow around, wind, turn 180 degrees around. You head out to sea. So we're starting to turn. We're headed straight across the harbor, and some way the line as tied to the dock got loose. So now we're dead in the water, crossways in the harbor, and with schooners behind us. There are a lot of schooners in Barbados that brought coal and everything else to, normally from Louisiana to Barbados. Anyway, as we're laying there, the stern of the ship starts moving upstream a little bit, and we got the bowsprit of one of the schooners caught in a stanchion on the stern of our boat. And we're going full speed ahead, and that boat is holding us back. And we're just about to tear that schooner in half when finally we got it stopped and we got loose. Later, I had to go and pay some money to reassemble the front end of the yacht, the schooner, I should say. So we got loose. Now we're headed straight across the harbor. And he says, okay, full speed ahead and build hard to port. I got the wheel turned hard over. We're looking straight across at a ship. And it happened to be the ship of our agent. When you're in a foreign country with a boat, nobody will trust you to do anything for you because they're afraid you could leave and not pay them. So you have to have an agent. And we had an agent, the Costa Company. And they happened also to have a department store on Barbados. And they had a ship that would bring in goods from the department store. And it was anchored tight, I should say, tight up at the dock, right opposite the river. So I've got it hard over, full speed ahead, and we're starting to head over. And I said, we're not going to make it. We're going to land that ship. He says, hard over, just keep going. And don't let him. He said, we'll make it. Well, we finally turned, and we went by that ship, and a line on our boat was from a mast was tied up at the side, actually welded to the side. And when we passed that boat, that little piece of metal, about 2 inches, stuck out and caught something on that boat. Uh, And it just bang when we broke that loose, and so the line popped loose. And but we just slipped right on by, kept on. So then uh, I, I didn't mention that Barbados was famous for flying fish, eating flying fish, and their uh, typical meals was flying fish, peas, and rice. And the and they had a huge fleet of boats less than 20 feet long that would go out and catch flying fish. And they brought them into a large building, and the women would debone those flying fish in the big building there. And I don't know, 20 or 30 boats, boats outside there, tied up. And we get past that boat with a slight damage, and now we're headed right straight for the flying fish dock. On the boats. I thought, oh hell, now we're gonna right six little boats going through there. But captain says, Hyrule, full speed ahead. And he had to face it. That, he's a good captain. He knew what a boat could do. And sure enough, we missed that. Well, then we finally got out to sea, and we ran for about 5 miles up the coast and turned around and back and came into the dock. And the first thing I had to do was go over and see the schooner that we had wrecked pulled apart. He had made amends with them and agreed to fix it. Anyway, this was July 4th, 4th of July. I said, we've got to show the people that we can get our ship back to America. So it was really a big deal. I had mentioned another problem we had when we first were moving out of the coop, way up in the range. We hired a tug to take us back downstream and under the drawbridge or past the drawbridge to the shipyard where we had all the work done. Well, the tugboat came by and the captain said, I want you to tie up next to us with your stern projecting farther back than our stern. So if we're going to hit anything, you're going to hit it first. So he tied up and suddenly there was some problem. Well, somewhere where else somebody came back. But when he came back, he was not with sterns behind ours. As he let us down, we rammed the bridge with the stern of our boat instead of his. We finally, there's an article in this newspaper. There's the yacht Potomac, which is due to leave Barbados within the next 3 weeks for an exhibition at the Seattle World's Fair, was slightly damaged while moving from the inner basin of the range to a berth alongside the Central Foundry here yesterday. Central Foundry is the name of the ship yard, the repair yard. The yacht, once owned by the United States ex-President Franklin D. Roosevelt, was recently bought from her last owners, Neptune's Mines, by Hydro Capital, a recreation business firm in the United States. Extensive repairs were done to the engines by Hydro Capital's mechanics, who were flown down especially for the job. Parts had to be manufactured and air freighted to Barbados. One of the engines, which has been completely overhauled, will be tested today. The other engine is almost finished, and parts for the generator also have arrived. This was the date of this is June 15th. The same day, I wrote a letter back to Ira Dowd, our operations manager in Newport Beach. And I'll read it to you because it's food information. Again, it's June 15th, the day that we were moved down the Greenwich Global Shipyard. Anyway, dear Ira, work is progressing very well, but there are many things to do to make the ships seaworthy, such as build spunks, electrical system, um, galley ribbons, refrigerators, anchor gear, crew squares, navigation equipment, etc. I have engaged an agent, the Captions Company Limited, to help expedite the work. They have in their employ one of the most competent engineers as port captain that I have ever seen. He works fast and knows how to get things done. We should have engaged them much earlier in the game, as they are extremely competent. We are installing the final generator aboard today, and are near completion of the second main engine. The first is completely installed and ready to start. It is not advisable to start it though until the second is ready to start also. All persons concerned had no doubt that they will run, and we intend to start them next Wednesday. This should permit us to leave by next weekend. I'm talking about June 15th, and we find it out to sea on the 14th, etc. We have moved from the former dock to that of the central foundry, where we are able to test the engine and receive a DC power for moving aboard. We stayed only 2 nights at the Island Inn, the hotel there. Thank God we brought all of these guys with us, because all of the things necessary to take the ship to sea for 3 weeks. Everyone is working very hard and are really getting things organized. You have to remember this ship nobody's lived on it for months, or maybe a couple of years. And the galley, nothing worse. And everything is a muck ship. It had to be cleaned up and painted. And our crew worked very hard doing all these things, just cleaning up the boat. I thank God about all these guys, because all things necessary to do and to take the ship to sea for 3 weeks. Everyone worked very, very hard, and they're really getting things organized. There will be more expense than previously indicated. And I am having to deposit monies in advance with the agent so that he can guarantee payment before the big outfits will get any get in very deep. This is because of the bad reputation of the former owners. We will owe George Edwards, the engineer from Miami, the mechanic and a good one, about $1,000 by the time we leave. And he would like it then. He will go with the ship if requested. We will bring it at least, we will bring at least 2 Barbadians, maybe 4. Before we leave, we will need to we will need their credit for their return air farm established here in Barbados. You can't take a foreign sailor from his home without getting an air ticket that will bring him back home where he has to, for any reason. So we had to buy those tickets from the guys that come with us. Um, when we mo- when we moved yesterday, the couple disobeyed captain's orders and was hanging into the bridge. Some damage was done. It cost us $150 to repair. Um, I sent him a list of money we had spent, and I should say debts that we had incurred because we had no money. And then we're doing all this, well, we borrowed the $25,000 to buy the book, but we needed more money for the repairs. And a friend of mine said he wanted to come to Barbados. And I said, well, if you'll lend us some money, I'll let you come and ride the boat back to the States. So he lent us $5,000. What's it? Let's see. Let's go home. He lent us $5,000 to be able to ride the boat back to the States. Okay. And we had been there so long that I finally said to him, we're feeding you every day. You're going to have to start working. You can't just lay around here all day waiting for us to leave. So I knew him very well, and he bought old apartment houses and remodeled them. So he knew how to paint. And so I said, we'll go down and paint the guest quarters of the ship. And we had 3 staterooms that, well, I mean, if you've been on the boat. Down below after some nice staterooms, the whole steel, some nice showers. And so he went down there and painted those for his room and board, so to speak. And all the people we had on the ship were working, well, the native Barbadians were working for money. But one day a Newporter sailboat, which is made by Newport Beach, sailed in from the Canary Islands. And there were 2 kids on it who had graduated high school in Santa Barbara. And we're doing this hitchhiking around the world. And they came in and they saw us. Sorry, everyone. Don't worry. There you go. So they were Barry Pickering. Is this working? Barry Pickering and Bob Sanders, and they were from Santa Barbara. And Barry Pickering and Bob Sanders graduated from high school. Then we're going back to they'd taken us off the hitchhike around the world. Their sailboat was heading up the eastern coast, and they didn't want to go there. And they heard we were going back to California, so they jumped ship from the sailboat and joined us as workaways, which means they work for room and board. And so I had two more workers, and so when we finally got everything working and left. And it was I read then on